and good morning everyone. Today I will be presenting on the Apple Incorporated and its international business strategy. For section 1.1, I will explain the core business of Apple Incorporated. Apple Incorporated is a world-famous multinational technology company that operates in the design, development, and marketing of consumer electronics, software, and digital services. The company is well known for its strong brand image and innovative technology, which allows it to compete successfully in the global market. Apple's operations are not limited to one country, as the company serves customers worldwide and earns a significant portion of its revenue from international markets. Apple offers a wide range of products such as the iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and AirPods. In addition, Apple provides services including the App Store, Apple Music, iCloud, Apple Pay, and Apple TV+. These products and services are highly integrated, creating a seamless ecosystem that enhances customer experience. Instead of competing on low cost, Apple focuses on product differentiation, innovation, and high quality, which allows the company to charge premium prices and maintain a strong competitive advantage. Moving on to the section 1.2. Based on Apple's latest annual report, the company's main goals include sustainable growth, continuous innovation, and maintaining leadership in the global market. Apple aims to consistently improve its product and introduce new technologies to meet changing consumer needs. This strategy helps Apple remain competitive in a fast-changing technology industry while ensuring long-term business growth. Besides financial goals, Apple places strong emphasis on environmental, social, and governance factors. The company is committed to achieving carbon neutrality across its corporate operations and supply chain. Apple is also improving supply chain resilience by expanding production locations to reduce over-dependence on a single country. This shows that Apple aims to balance profitability with sustainability and social responsibility. For the section 1.3, Apple uses several international business methods to expand its operation worldwide. One key method is foreign direct investment, where Apple establishes wholly owned subsidiaries in major markets to manage sales, marketing, and customer support. This allows Apple to maintain strong control over its brand and product quality in different countries. Apple also outsources its manufacturing to foreign contract manufacturers located in countries such as China, India, and Vietnam. This strategy helps reduce production costs and provides access to skilled human resources. In addition, Apple expands internationally through Apple-owned retail stores, authorized resellers, and online channels. This combined method strengthens Apple's competitive position in the global technology market. Section 1.4, Apple is expected to focus on future expansion in emerging markets such as India, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. These regions show strong growth potential due to rising smartphone adoption and expanding middle-income population. India is particularly important as it offers both a large consumer market and affordable manufacturing opportunities. However, international expansion also exposes Apple to various uncertainties. Economic uncertainties include exchange rate fluctuation and changes in consumer purchasing power. Political and regulatory uncertainties may arise from changes in government policies and trade regulations. Operation and cultural risks can also affect business performance. Therefore, effective risk management is essential for Apple to sustain its international operations and long-term competitiveness. In conclusion, Apple's strong international strategy, combined with innovation and sustainability, positions the company well for future global growth.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nuzulka Binti Hasnan and I will explain to you guys about question 2. Moving on to question 2, we will discuss the factors that influence Apple's international trade. As a multinational corporation operating in many countries, Apple's export activities are affected by various global factors. To understand this better, we will first look at the countries where Apple sells its product, followed by how recent global changes affect Apple's export business. To begin with, Apple sells its product worldwide through Apple stores, online platforms, and authorized resellers. Its major international markets include the United States, European countries such as United Kingdom and Germany, Greater China, Japan, India, and Australia. These regions represent important markets where Apple earns a large portion of its revenue. In fact, more than half of Apple's total sales come from outside the United States, showing that international trade plays a very important role in Apple's business. Next, we discuss how recent changes affect Apple's export business. The first factor is trade policies and tariffs. Trade tensions, especially between the United States and China, have increased costs for Apple. As a result, Apple has started shifting part of its production to countries like India and Vietnam to reduce risk and dependence on China. The second factor is exchange rate fluctuation. When the US dollar becomes stronger, Apple products become more expensive in foreign markets. This can reduce demand and affect Apple's export volume. The third factor is global supply chain disruption. Events such as pandemic, geopolitical conflicts, and shipping delays can disrupt production and delivery, causing delays in international exports. Another factor is global economic conditions and purchasing power. High inflation and slow economic growth in some countries reduce consumer spending, especially on premium products like iPads and iPhones. Lastly, competition and technological changes also influence Apple's trade. Although Apple faced strong competition from brands such as Samsung, its strong brand image and customer loyalty helped maintain its international sales.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Alisa Hasbin binti Awang, and I will explain how Apple uses the foreign exchange market to manage its global business. The foreign exchange market, or FX market, is a global marketplace where currencies are exchanged. Since Apple sells its product worldwide, it earns revenue in many currencies such as euros, yen, and yuan. In fact, more than 60% of Apple's revenue comes from outside the United States. When the US dollar becomes stronger, Apple receives fewer dollars when foreign sales are converted back into US currency. This creates what is called transaction exposure and translation exposure, which can affect Apple's profit. To manage this risk, Apple uses the financial instruments such as forward contracts and options. This allows Apple to lock in exchange rates in advance and protect itself from sudden currency movements. By hedging its currency risk, Apple is able to stabilize its earnings, control costs, and protect international revenue. In short, Apple uses the FX market to reduce uncertainty and maintain strong global financial performance. Now, let's take a look whether Apple issues stock in foreign currency or not. Apple's main stock listing is on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange in the United States. However, investors around the world can still buy Apple shares through foreign stock exchange using a system called American Depository Receipt, or ADRS. This allows Apple shares to be traded in countries such as the UK, Germany, Brazil, Canada, and Japan using local currencies. This makes Apple stock easily accessible to international investors. There are three main benefits of this global stock trading system, which is liquidity. Investor can buy and sell Apple share easily worldwide. Diversification. Investor can invest using their own currency and reduce the exchange rate risk. And last one is effectiveness. Global prices stay aligned through arbitrage trading. In conclusion, although Apple does not directly issue new share overseas, its stock is actively traded worldwide, making Apple a truly global company for investors. That's all from me. Thank you.
Now, let's move into section 4.0, where we analyze how exchange rate fluctuation directly influence the performance of a multinational corporation. For this analysis, we are focusing on Apple, a company whose global footprint makes it highly sensitive to currency shift. Whilst Apple reporting currency is the US dollar, its transactional reach is vast. We track several major currencies, the euro and British pound, which are significant for European sales, the Japanese yen for high-end electronics, and most importantly, the Chinese yuan and Taiwan dollar. These last two are critical not just for consumer sales, but for Apple's extensive supply chain and manufacturing payments to partners like TSMC. We look at the impact on performance through three specific lenses. First is the direction of change. When international sales made in euros or yen are converted back into a stronger US dollar, it creates a currency headwind that lowers reported revenue. On the flip side, a stronger dollar against the yuan can make manufacturing costs in China cheaper in dollar terms, which can actually improve gross margins. Second, we must distinguish between two types of financial exposure. Translation exposure is found in the consolidated statements of comprehensive income. This represents the paper gain or loss when converting a foreign subsidiary's balance sheet back into USD. In contrast, taxation exposure is often highlighted in the MD&A section. This is where management explains how unfavorable exchange rates may have negatively impacted the actual gross margin by a certain number of basis points. Finally, to protect against this volatility, Apple engaged in strategic hedging activities. They utilize financial derivatives, specifically forward contracts and options, to lock in exchange rates. This helps stabilize their cash flow and ensures that despite the unpredictability of the global market, their financial performance remains as predictable as possible. This concludes our analysis of exchange rate influence.
My name is Ainur Christina binti Nairezli, and my metric number is 2024297888. Today, I will explain the international trade financing practice of Apple Incorporated. Apple Incorporated is a multinational corporation which is headquartered in the United States, while most of its key suppliers are located in Asia, such as China, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Because Apple import high value imported from different countries, international trade financing plays an important role in supporting in global operations. Firstly, Apple may use several payment methods for import. One common method is the open account, where Apple receives goods first and pay supplier at a later date. This method is suitable for Apple because it has strong financial strength and long-term relationship with trusted suppliers. Apple may also use advance payment for customized or strategic component, especially when supplier require upfront funding. In addition, letter of credit. It can be used when dealing with new supplier or higher risk countries, as they provide payment security through banks. Based on Apple, annual report specific trade finance instruments are not clearly disclosed. However, the presence of large trade payable, trade receivable, and foreign currency transactions indicate that Apple relies heavily on trade credit, banking facility, and foreign exchange management. Suitable trade finance methods for Apple include letter of credit, bank guarantees, and supply chain financing, which allow suppliers to receive early payment while Apple maintains efficient cash flow. Furthermore, Apple uses foreign exchange hedging instruments such as forward contract to manage currency risk arising from international trade.
Audio Jungle.